There is this very, very popular verse in the Bible which is often invoked during the year-end service. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 8, which says, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. The irony of this particular verse is that many people who lived at the time of Jesus didn't really think so. And actually, if you read the Bible, most of the time, Jesus was very unpredictable, right? Have you ever noticed that? And Jesus seemed very inconsistent to many people. That's one of the reasons he got crucified. Sometimes he says, well, we have to obey Sabbath. He was very respectful for his Jewish customs and everything. And sometimes he just skips Sabbath and he will do something which he is not supposed to do with the Sabbath. And they ask, why did you do that? Then he said, well, Son of Man is above the Sabbath, forget it. Like he just like that, right? And there are many occasions. I don't have to go into that. And there is even more interesting, Matthew chapter 18 I was reading, Jesus said, if somebody commits an offense, right? Like you have to confront that person in private. You probably know this, but Matthew chapter 18 verses 15 onwards. So you have to confront them in private. And if he refuses to listen, you have to take one or two brothers with you and confront them. And if he doesn't again do that, then again the church has to be involved. Then after the third time, not that he has to be out, he has to be treated like a Gentile or a tax collector. That's kind of the worst kind of thing. So after third time, he is out to the beyond the border. That kind of an instruction. And funny enough, after 2 verses, in the same chapter, Peter comes to Jesus. Peter says, Jesus, I like what you said. 3 times you do it and then, just get him out. But you know what? If somebody commits a personal offense to me, you know what? I'm willing to go. I'm a little more nicer than you are. I don't want to just do 3 times. I will go up to 7 times. Don't you think that's better? That's kind of what he's asking. If somebody commits a personal offense to me, how much should I forgive? I know you said something like 3. I wanted to go up to 7. And then Jesus looks at him and says, 70 times? 7. It doesn't really compute. The point I'm trying to make is, even though Jesus was the same yesterday, today, and forever, and that consistency of Jesus was only from the perspective of his Father. For everybody else, he seemed very inconsistent. He seemed very unpredictable. The point I'm trying to make is, when it comes to New Year, we almost always, we have even the saying, consistency is the key, right? We like people who are consistent, very very, very strong in their conviction. That's the kind of people who are reliable. So we always look back at our own resolutions and say, how consistent were we? Right? I took this resolution last year. I was very, very consistent in that. And we almost always sort of idolize our own capability to stick to a particular conviction. Don't we do that? Or if we fail, most of us do, and then we feel heartbroken, we feel we are good for nothing, we couldn't keep up, and then we again, put this pressure on us to stay close to our conviction. And the reason I'm saying this, I wanted to read a quote, which actually which really spoke to me very personally. I don't know how many of you have heard Oswald Chambers. Oswald Chambers is the writer of next to the Bible, a book that influenced me the most is called My Utmost to His Highest. And if you have not read it, tomorrow is a good day to start because it's a devotional. Every day like a devotional. And that book will transform your life. That book will change your life, and it did mine. So Oswald Chambers, this is a quote from that book. This is what he said. Very interesting. You have to listen to it very carefully. It's very deep, the way he says some of the stuff. Beware of making a fetish of consistency to your convictions instead of being devoted to God. I'm going to read that again. beware of making a fetish of consistency to your own convictions instead of being devoted to God. Fetish is not a nice word. It is an obsession. A bad obsession is what fetish. But sometimes even the good things can become an obsession, right? I remember when one of my New Year resolutions, this is back in the days, I was young and handsome like Atkinson here. So, back in the days, one New Year, I meant Anderson, sorry. Yeah. You're handsome too. I decided one New Year to go vegetarian. And the reason I said young, and this was particularly important to my age at the time. I was in my 20s, and I decided to go vegetarian, and I did go vegetarian. And this is back in the day growing up in India, and I still remember I will go from one place to another. People will, serve always chicken or beef, and that's what. So I was saying, no, I don't. I'm a vegetarian. I have taken this resolution, I will be a vegetarian, and I am vegetarian. I was a vegetarian for almost 6 to 7 months. But then I realized that in some way it becomes a fetish, because I enjoyed these people. Other uncles and aunties used to tell their kids, look at Mathew. Look at Mathew, that young and handsome Mathew. He doesn't even, he's so pious. He's such a dedicated, devoted man of conviction. Look at him. You have to be like him. And I realized that in a strange and mysterious way, I enjoyed it. And after 6 to 7 months, I realized that it had nothing to do with Jesus. It was all about my conviction. It was a fetish for my own conviction to be vegetarian. God didn't tell me to be vegetarian. Bible doesn't say that you have to be vegetarian. But it's a good thing, by the way. If you want to be a vegetarian, it's a great thing, at least for your health. But the point I'm trying to make is sometimes our own resolution, our own convictions can be a fetish instead of being a devotion to one person. Jesus Christ was the same yesterday, today, and forever, only to one person, his Father. He didn't care about anybody else, what anybody else thought about him. He came to do the will of his Father. The point is, what are we doing? Are we proud of our consistency to a conviction or a devotion to a person? The other people might think that we are inconsistent, but if we grow in a relationship with particularly a person, and another example that comes to my mind is that, again, back in the days, I used to have a nice mustache, and that better than yours actually, and and many people said, it doesn't suit you, just take, shave off your stash, and it's not good. And actually, back in Kerala, Pentecostal pastors some pastors refused to give me baptism because I had a mustache. Because that was against the legalistic structure of that particular church doctrine. And I said, I don't care about baptism. I will never take the stash. I was so particular because I was a man of conviction. I would even refuse baptism for my stash sake. But then I got married, right? I got married, and I held on to my stash for another 2-3 years. But I realized it's not that she asked me to do it. It's not like, don't think that, But I realized that she doesn't like it. And I thought, I'm married to Joanne, and she doesn't like it. I don't want to keep anything that my wife doesn't like it. So it is not about the consistency to my conviction, but rather devotion to a person. In the relationship, people now build, you said you'll never take your mustache. Where is that? All that kind of stuff. I don't care. I don't care what other people think. I don't worry about my own conviction. I only worry about my devotion to a person. So all I'm saying is, when we approach the new year, it's good to have our own resolution. It's good to stick to our own conviction. But at the same time, always allow a room for grace. Always allow room for the Holy Spirit to interfere with your own conviction, interfere with your own resolution, to change your schedule a little bit. If God wanted to do so, let him do so. So if you think that I am a man of conviction or a woman of conviction, I never changed, and I was the same yesterday, today, and forever, then it means either two things. Either you are God, nice to meet you, or you have not grown an inch in the last year. That's what it means. Because in a relationship to a person, a devotion to a person always changes you. It's a continuous learning and growing process. So allow the room to the Holy Spirit to change your own conviction in a graceful way, so that our goal will be primarily about devotion to that one person, nobody else. God bless you.